Welcome back to another trade alts tutorial. This is going to be part 2 in our trading bot series. Really a follow-up from our first video. I got a lot of really good comments, a lot of really good feedback from it, and some excellent questions from Discord and from the YouTube comments. So I wanted to answer some of those questions in video format to hopefully help explain things as best as I can. And also, hopefully I can share some other tips in this video that can help you out. Let's get to the video. And here is the disclaimer. Please pause the video and read this. As usual, all content is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Nothing is financial advice. Okay, and just a profit update. Figured I might as well do it since we're doing a second video here. But January 29th is when I hit $30,000 in total profit from my trading bots. And then this over here is when I shot the first video, which was about a week ago. I think it was dated, the video was dated February 28th. So since February 28th, right? So I was at $44,770. This is where I'm at now. So here's 3COMMAS. This is current today. I will actually refresh it for you. That way you get up to date, make sure it's completely up to date. And here we are. So your total profit right here. So the previous slide, the one that I just showed you, that was my February 28th video. The first trading bot video that came out was on February 28th, and that was around $44,700 profit. So you can see here we're at $47,722 profit now, which is a $3,000 increase from my previous video that was uploaded a week ago. So we had a $3,000 week, not bad, pretty happy about that. And then, today's profit, we're sitting at $42.14 here. The day did reset about 3.5 hours ago. So I still have about another 20 hours as far as this trading bots day goes. So hopefully it'll be a lot bigger than that, but that's currently where I'm sitting there. Just wanted to give you that update. I also wanted to touch on this while I'm here again. So I went over this in great detail in the first video, but what do you need to do this in case you haven't started yet and you're still wondering what you need to do? So you need to open an account with either Binance US. And this is just what I recommend. Okay, like there's other ways to do it, but this is what I recommend doing. So opening an account with either Binance US if you reside in the United States, or Binance if you're outside of the United States. And I do have links in the description below for those exchanges. And if you're going to trade on Binance and you use my link, you actually get 10% off your trading fees if you use that link. I have it set that way, and you actually get a 10%. So all of the trading fees that you accrue, you get 10% of that kicked back to your account. So that's only if you use that link though. So that's pretty neat. But also, so Binance US, that's the exchange that I used in the first video. That was the one that I used as the example. And lastly, obviously you need a 3COMMAS subscription. 10% off if you use the link in that description below. And I don't get anything, by the way, for the 3COMMAS. It's simply like the link is there just to make sure that hopefully you use it so you get your 10% off. The only way that I actually do get something is if you pay in cryptocurrency, which majority of people aren't going to do. Totally fine, not a big deal. But I included it in this video just to make sure, again, that you get that 10% off if you use the link. And then obviously you need your money, trading capital, your funds, and then the tutorial, right? So again, the first video must watch if you haven't watched it. And this video is really just a follow-up, answering a few questions that I got, just hopefully clarifying some things. All right, so here we are. We're going to get to the frequently asked questions. I mean, I would say frequently, but these are the questions, really good questions that I've been asked so far, either in Discord or through the YouTube comments that I got from the last video. But so here's number one. Do you have the bots set up with the same settings in the video? So me personally, so they were asking, do I have the bot set up with the same settings that I shot with in video one? The answer is yes. Those are the settings, the ones that I shared. Those settings I've found that those work the best for me and the way that I like to use these trading bots. Obviously, there are millions of different configurations that you can use. There are literally an unlimited amount of configurations that you can test yourself, and please feel free to do so. But as far as, you know, doing, like, getting the results that I've got so far, and as far as like what I found to complement kind of like my trading strategy and the way that I like to use it, I literally use the exact settings that I shared in that video. So if you don't know what those settings are, go back and watch the first video again. I'll make sure to link that video in the description below. But those settings that I shared, and I went through and set up 2 trading bots also from scratch, those settings that I put in there are identical to what I use in all of my other trading bots. The only one exception is the base order and the safety order dollar amounts that I use will vary depending on the bot that I select or the pair that I choose to trade. But all of the rest of the really important settings, you know, as far as the safety order percentage and all that stuff, it is identical to what I shared in that video. So can I just run 1 to 2 bots? The real easy answer is no. I'm going to show you exactly here in a minute why you don't want to run just 1 or 2 bots. And again, do you have to run 43 bots like me? No, you definitely don't have to do it, okay? But you need enough bots to make sure that you have enough active bots running that are going to keep you in trades as often as possible. So I would say the more bots you have, the better, right? Because that means there's more opportunities for you to be making a profit throughout the day versus having less bots. But running 1 to 2 bots is a really bad idea because there are often times where that bot could get stuck in a trade and you might be stuck in that trade for days, even a couple of weeks sometimes. If you picked a really low volume, if you picked a low volume coin to trade or something, there's like a number of instances where that can happen. But I really don't advise, and here's why. I'll show you an example. So here we are back on 3COMMAS. This is my dashboard, and I'm going to show you why you do not want to run 1 or 2 trading bots, really like a small amount of bots. So if you scroll to the bottom, so your most recent bot that just closed the deal will always be at the top. Okay, so you can see this one started at 8:59 p.m. So as you go down, let's go to the bottom. This is going to be your oldest bot. So the bots that have been in the deals the longest. Okay, so this one's all the way at the bottom. CKB USDT. So this is the bot that has been in the deal the longest. Now, if you scroll over here, look at the start date. This bot started its deal February 25th. Okay, before I made video 1. So this has been like a week and a half. Okay, it's had 17 safety orders completed out of 28. So this is a new configuration. I did share this in Discord. There was a configuration that I've been testing for a little while, and I'll share the results of it. But I didn't talk about it in the previous video. But again, if I just had 1 bot or 2 bots, let's throw in the curve bot right here. Okay, let's say I just had 2 bots running, I would not have had any profit made since this date or this date. So March 2nd is when this curve bot started. That's 4 days ago now. So this curve bot has not made me any profit in 4 days. This CKB bot has not made me any profit since February 25th. And these things happen. And like and I'll tell you what happened with the CKB bot in particular, just so you know. It had a really big run up. It had a really nice run up, and then Bitcoin dipped. And it dipped pretty good, and CKB took a hit. And what happened was, so again, it had a really quick run up and a really quick like kind of retracement. So I didn't retrace all the way or anything like that, but still, it hasn't bounced up enough to take me out of my order yet, or for me to hit my take profit. So am I worried about this? Not at all. And the reason is, like, again, I've been doing this long enough to know that these things are going to happen from time to time, right? Like, not every bot is going to be crushing deals every single day. You know, that's the goal, obviously. But the more pairs you trade, obviously, too, you're going to run into this situation every now and then. And it's totally fine. It's totally like, this is all part of the deal. But Again, if you were just trading this one bot, CKB bot, you would literally be staring at $0, 0 cents profit since February 25th. So that is why you do not want to only trade 1 or 2 bots. So here's another good question. So, and this is a fair question. When people, people saw from my first video that I shared a week ago, and somebody said, I see that the bot only makes X amount, right? It makes, 25 cents a trade or $1 per trade. Why bother? Like, I could probably do better on my own. Well, the answer to that's really simple. Like, the amounts that you're going to be making per bot realistically are going to be low if you have them set how I have mine set. The thing is, though, it's the number of trades and the volatility, right? We want volatility in both directions. It's the number of trades that your bot is able to do running 24/7 while you sleep, while you don't want to be trading, while you want to be hanging with your family, whether you're going out to dinner, whatever it is, right? That's the whole point of trading bots. The amounts are likely going to be small. Now, the CKB bot, for example, when that deal does close, though, it might have taken a while, but the profit on that bot is going to be significant because of all of the safety orders that filled. Okay, so when that eventually does close, the profit on that will be a very nice profit. But again, we're going back to, bots getting in and out of deals. They're going to be smaller amounts, but that's okay, because what we're after is the number of trades. That's why I run as many bots as I do. But it's the number of trades and the amount of trades that you can get in and out of as quick as possible. And as you can see, like from my statistics, like from my profit that I've made, I literally have given you a timeline, right? So January 29th, I was at $30,000 profit, and then less than a month later, I made $14,000-15,000 profit, and then just in the last week, so from the week that I shot the video, 7 days ago till today, I made another $3,000, and you can see that all in the video. Like, I refreshed it, and it's up to date. Like, you can literally see that. So that, like, again, the amounts per trade are small. One bot might make 25 cents on a trade, but it doesn't matter, because it's the amount of bots that you have. The more bots you have, the more you'll make, in theory, okay? And it's also the volatility, right? Like, you're in and out, in and out, in and out several times per day. So while that bot might only churn out a quarter here, a quarter there, it will add up over the course of the trading day, assuming that your bot is opening and closing deals. So this is another really good question, okay? And honestly, I'm going to do a dedicated video just for this. So I will touch on this right now, because I think it's a valid, it's a very good question, but I think it's worthy of its own video. And I'm going to actually go into detail, go to the exchange. I'll show you exactly like how I pick what altcoins that I like to trade. But from a real quick overview, which altcoins do you recommend starting with? So for me, number one is volume. I want to trade things that are actually trading. So if you go to CoinGecko, CoinMarketCap, or if you go to the exchange that you have your trading bot account on, right? So like, again, if it's Binance US or if it's Binance, whatever it is, there's usually a sorting function on there that you can look and see what the top volume traded coins are. Like, that is a really good place to start, because in that particular time, like, that's what's trading, that's what's moving, prices, moving all over the place. That's what we want. So higher volume, the better. And as far as, like, again, another reason why I push Binance US is not only the fees are, the fees are really good. They're lower than usual, but to be listed on Binance US, period, like, they have to go through a lot stricter vetting process to get onto Binance US than you would even Binance. You know what I mean? Because, like, you're dealing with the United States. So anything that's like, anytime you're dealing with US regulations, typically the companies that are doing business in the United States and are open to United States customers, they have to be a lot stricter. So even Coinbase, right? Like, you have to be a lot stricter about what projects you'll allow to be onboarded to your system, because you got to make sure that you protect your consumers, right? You have to protect people as much as possible. So for me, volume is really important. But another thing that I recommend is using kind of that information, right? Using other people's resources. So they vetted these projects. They feel comfortable putting this on their exchange. So naturally for me, that helps kind of me deal with the volatility aspect in terms of like, well, what happens if it goes to zero? Or what happens if, something happens and this coin is going to drop 80%? I will say, like, on Binance, that's possible. Like, I know of some that have happened. Last year, if you look at TNT, look what happened with that project, right? But if you're listed on an American exchange, chances are that, again, the vetting process is stricter, and I feel more comfortable myself. And this isn't financial advice or anything like that, just sharing how I feel. But I feel more comfortable trading those pairs because of that availability, like on the American exchange. And I know the kind of vetting that goes into those projects, so that I feel more comfortable with that. So another good question: do you only trade USD or USDT pairs, or do you trade Bitcoin pairing too? The answer is yes. I only trade USD pairs. And that's the dollar. So for those of you who don't know what USDT is, it's simply dollars. I only like to trade in dollar pairs. And that, so again, if I'm trading Polkadot, for example, or I'm trading Cardano, I only like to use the USD or the USDT pair because I feel it follows the market a lot closer. And altcoins are obviously, they're a lot more susceptible to up and down moves. Like they move, like they're a lot more volatile than something like Bitcoin. But typically they move in a general direction of where the overall market is. If you're trading against Bitcoin, you're throwing a wrench into things, really, because like now you have another volatile asset that you're pairing it up against, right? And if you look at any altcoin versus Bitcoin chart, I won't say any, majority, okay? There have been plenty of periods and so many altcoin charts that I have seen where it performs incredibly awful against Bitcoin. So you could easily be stuck in a trap if you trade against Bitcoin, meaning like if you're talking in terms of how many of your safety orders that you're going to get filled and, getting in and out of trades a lot quicker, I would not feel anywhere near as comfortable trading against Bitcoin pairing, so trading against Bitcoin, as I would the US dollar. And it's for that reason. It's very simple. If you look at any chart, you'll see what I mean. And it's much easier to get trapped and have your funds trapped if you're trading against Bitcoin. So this is probably the most asked question that I've got so far. And unfortunately, this is the hardest one for me to answer. I would try my best to give you an answer, but the reason why it's very difficult to answer is because there's so many variables that go into, something like this, as and like I've listed some of them here. But again, how do I make $100 a day using this system? So number one, what's your trading capital like? Like if you're, obviously the more trading capital that you have that you're willing to allow to a system like this, the easier it will be to make your goal, right? So if $100 a day is your goal, you have to make sure that you have enough trading capital available to start with to make that be realistic. Okay. And number two, so what's your risk tolerance? Like risk tolerance, I go into in the next slide, but risk tolerance is like, do you want to play it as safely as possible? Are you willing to undercapitalize your trading bots and run heavier, and that's something we'll talk about here in a minute. But again, I can't answer that for you, right? Like everybody has different parameters for themselves and what they're willing and what they're comfortable with. So like you have to kind of take this information that I'm sharing, and like I'm happy again to dig into this. If you come into Discord, we have a trading bot room in there. I'm happy to like help try to break this down to see if this makes sense. But everybody is so different. It's hard for me to know, right? So like I'll tell you right now, if you have $500 that you're going to put into the system, can you make $100 a day? Unlikely, very unlikely. Like almost, I would say that'd be almost impossible. Okay. But if you have it like, you know, a larger sum of money, and your risk tolerance is, you know, you're more willing to risk your, you know, your funds and run your bots undercapitalized, which I'll talk about in the next scene here. But like those things will play into like you starting to figure out what's realistic for you. And also, how many bots will you have? Like, do you only want to run one bot, two bots? Because that won't happen. Like, unless you're trading with huge sums of money, okay? And lastly, like, and the most important thing is set realistic goals for your situation. So again, you have to take these things that I'm talking about. And again, if you want to ask me directly, I'm available in Discord. I'm there probably 12 hours a day, no joke. So if you have a question, like, come, you know, feel free to pop into Discord. I'm happy to talk to you. If you want to DM me there, that's totally fine. But I really, like, it's really important though that people are realistic for like their situation. This is not one of those systems or one of those things that's gonna like make you tons of money on no money. Like, that's not gonna happen. Okay, so I just want to like sure I get that out there. So this is what I mean by like undercapitalized or capitalized. Okay, so the safer method, which and this is something that I've discussed with some of you in Discord, okay, is so you're fully covered, meaning like you have enough funds in your account, your trading account, whatever, Binance US, to cover the bot or cover all of your bots with your base order and all safety orders filled. Okay, so when you run fully covered, that means it's the safest method that I can think of, you know, in terms of like your bot. If all your safety orders filled up, it's not going to get like, that's it. Like you filled all your orders. Now, like all you would do is sit and wait, right? It's not like your bot would be undercapitalized. You fill the safety orders. Let's say you had 30 safety orders, which is what I use, and maybe you only had 14 fill and you're out of money, right? That's not what I'm talking about here. So like the safer method, again, you're fully covered. You know, let's say if you have 10 trading bots, this is just an example. Let's say you have 10 trading bots. Each bot uses, let's say, $600. Then you would need $6,000, right, to cover all of those trading bots, assuming, like, again, each bot was $600, like max risk, okay? Now, the problem with that, not that it's a problem, but the downside is that you'll make less money. And the reason is you're putting less of your capital to work every trade that you get in overall, like on average. Because on average, you might maybe only, you know, this depends depending on what you're trading, but you might only fill 3 orders, 2 orders. Some of them, a lot of them, you won't you'll always fill your base order, obviously, but you might not fill even a single safety order. So like, again, you're making less money there because more of your money is like, more of your money is being used as a safety net versus actually being in play, if that makes sense. Or the riskier one, you know, the riskier method, which is like, this is what I do, completely transparent. You're partially covered. So you don't have enough funds immediately available to cover all your base orders and all your safety orders for all of your trading bots. So the upside to this is that you make more money, because you're putting more of your capital to actual work, if that makes sense. Like, you don't have enough money for every bot to get all your base orders and every single safety orders filled that you allocated for that bot. But you're putting more of your capital to work at any given time, which means that the money that you're using, the capital that you're putting into your bots, is being used more thoroughly. Like, it's being used, you know, you have a larger amount of money at play, which in general, if that happens, assuming, again, you don't have some massive catastrophic thing that happens, you're putting more of your money to work, meaning you're making more money with less available, if that makes sense. So you're making more money on less capital. But there's that higher level of risk because you're not fully capitalized, right? You're not covering every single possible outcome that could happen. And therefore, if there is a catastrophic, you know, something that happens to the market, you could be in trouble. So that's kind of like the 2 different methods, right? And for me, like, I am partially covered. on my trading bots. Like if I had to give you a percentage, I'm kind of hesitant to do this, but I'll say like typically like my bots run, and like I'll give you a ballpark, okay? Like typically my bots will run around 40%. You know, I'd say on average, it'll run about 40% of my capital that I allocate. So that's how much of my allocation. And if you watch the first video, right, I allocate about $30,000 to my trading bots. About 40% of that is usually in play. I would say on that's like maybe even a higher end, but like I'd say, you know, like 25 to 40% is kind of like they're in play at any given time. So that is, you can take that information and do what you will with it. That's more information than I really probably should have shared, but that is that's essentially how I run my bots. And again, if you want clarification, come into Discord. Feel free to ask me any question you want. I'm happy to answer. But that's kind of how I run my system, like for my bots. And again, I'm comfortable with it, right? Like I said this in the first video, I can put capital to work. Like I can add more capital to my bots anytime. I'm not afraid of, like, if all of a sudden something happened and, you know, I had a lot of bots running, you know, deep into the safety orders and I was starting to run low, like I can put money in there. Not everybody can. And that's why like this, the riskier method, right, is something you really have to think about for yourself. And like, does this make sense? And probably the most important thing, if you can take out of this second video, is start out slow until you get the hang of it. Like that is what I really would push people to do, because it's gonna, like, I want you to be able to understand things. Like don't go insane, don't go crazy, you know, when you're first starting out, especially if you've never used trading bots before, right? And trade smaller amounts. Like for me, I spent months of, you know, I think I started in May of last year, 2020, and I spent several months running low amounts. You know, my bot sizes were small. I ran less bots because I really wanted to get my feet wet, right? I really wanted to test them out with the market, see how they react. And like, that's how I got to use the settings that I use today, is through troubleshooting. It's through, you know, finding out that, hey, 10 safety orders is something that is not a good idea, like for me, because I was getting them filled. So naturally, like that's how I arrived at the settings that I use, is through trial and error, right? I've done the work for myself and I found that my settings that I use today are the best settings that I can to keep, you know, keep it as safe as possible for myself, right? But that's, it all came through the learning curve, like the learning process, and really taking your time, starting out slow till you're comfortable with it before you turn it up a little bit. So like, it took me, since I started in May, trading very small amounts, from May to the end of January, I made $30,000 profit. And like, for a lot of people, that's probably pretty decent, right? But for me, it's like, you know, okay, I made $30,000 in that time frame. But then, you know, we turn things up a bit. And, you know, the last few months, I've been like, again, I've been comfortable. I've seen where my bots, how they perform, kind of when you get into certain situations, how do they react, right? So I feel more comfortable putting larger dollar amounts into it. And again, and help, well, obviously the market's doing very well overall. But in the last 30 days, right? It was really the last 5 weeks now, because I'm talking about since January 29th. But I've made $17,000 profit in the last 5 weeks. So like, that's, you know, and again, that's with me kind of like turning it up a little bit, right? Like adding, like giving my bots more capital to work with. It's giving my bots, you know, like kind of like giving it a little bit more to run with. But, you know, again, I didn't get there from day one, like just going crazy and putting everything into it. Like that's if I had any advice that I would want to give, is to start out slow and make sure you're comfortable with it. Make sure that you know the ins and outs of how 3COMMAS works, how your exchange works, and like just be comfortable with like watching your bots and making adjustments if you need to. Like that's kind of what I would say. So here's another one that I get a lot. It's what is the most profitable bot setup? So, you know, it's like, I'm not exactly sure how to answer this, but I would say that, again, the settings that I use that are in the first video, as far as like, if that's what this question is being, if that's kind of your take on it, like those settings that I use are easily my most profitable setup. Like, so that's why I use them. Now, if people are talking about like what altcoin, again, I'm going to do a video on that. But as far as, what is the most profitable bot setup for me, it's literally trading. It's trading with those exact settings that I shared in the previous video. So this is a pretty good question as well that I got in Discord. So the question is, doesn't using new trade ASAP setting require the coin to continually go up to make a profit? So again, this was covered in video 1 on why I used that setting. And again, the reason why I use the new trade ASAP setting. So this is when you're telling your bot when to get back into the market. So the deal closed, you made your profit. Now there's a setting on there that you can set that tells your bot when. Do you want to wait for a signal? Do you want to wait for, there's several different options, but I always put new trade ASAP, meaning as soon as my bot takes profit and closes, it already is putting in a limit order trying to get back into the market. So it doesn't, I'll tell you the short answer. The answer is no, it doesn't require the coin to only be going up to make a profit. And I'll show you why here. And I actually have a really good example for you of how your bot, not only how your bot works, but why this is not the case. So here is an example that I created. And so this is audio USDT pair. And I actually do use this bot. So this is partially why I'm using this example. But I want to show you exactly how your bot works. And so you can see here, your white line is your base order. So this is where your bot is trying to get in the market. Your green line is your take profit. So this is 1.5%, which is the setting that I use for my bots. And then the safety orders, they're 2% deviations, just like I use in my settings. Now there's only 5 of them here for this example because I really didn't want to sit here and put 30, but I used 30 safety orders. But I just wanted to give you a visualization of what actually happens. So I can do an example together, and it will also explain why, if you use the setting on your bot where you get back into the market as soon as your bot closes, or, I'm going to show you why it doesn't, like, price doesn't need to only be going up in order for that to work. So you're in, let's pretend right here that you're in, okay? So you can see, so let's pretend that we were in and your base order is filled. Now, just on these 2 candles, okay, you got safety order 1 filled and safety order 2 is filled. So price has moved down into your safety order. So you now have your base order filled, you have your safety order 1 filled, and safety order 2 filled. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete these because those orders no longer exist. They are filled. Now what happens is your base order drops because this is a dollar cost average bot, right? So let's say your base order is now sits around here, okay? Because you had your base order up here and you had 2 orders fill. So let's say that your base order is somewhere around here. Now your take profit at the same time is always going to stay 1.5% because that's how I have mine set, or whatever, however you have yours set. But your take profit is always going to stay. Oh, it's going to automatically reload itself and adjust itself to be 1.5% away from your base order. Okay, so let's say it's whatever, it's right here. So now what happens? So your base order and you have 2 safety orders filled. So this is how your bot would have responded to that. So you spiked up, price is moving down, almost filled that. But now you're filled. So do you see this spike came right into your order, your safety order number 3? So I'm going to delete that. Now your base order, your average entry, also drops down. And let's say your take profit moves to here, okay? Because it's always going to stay roughly 1.5% away. Price keeps moving down. That doesn't quite fill your safety. Okay, that did. Now that definitely did. So let's delete safety order 4 and let's move your price down. And this isn't exact, okay? I'm just trying to give you an example. Like I'm trying to give you an example of about where it would be. So here goes price, still going down. Here it comes back up. See if we get safety order 5 filled. Nope, not yet. Price is moving back up. Keep moving up. So your bot is still in, nothing has changed. And price is really close to, and there you go, you're out. So on this candle, you see how it spiked up through your base order in and through your take profit. Now you're out of the trade. So you had your base order entry, so your base order filled, okay? And you had 4 of your safety orders filled before price came back up and took you out of the trade. And so it hit your take profit. Now, I'm going to delete the take profit just so you can see. So I clarify, I'm going to delete the safety order because it's not relevant anymore. Okay? Your last base order entry, when we started, believe it was at $1.01, something like that, or $1. Your base order would be trying to be filled somewhere around here. Now, it might have, on this wick, what likely happened is this wick came up, took your profit, and came back down. Your base order would already be sitting in here. So you would have likely got your base order filled somewhere, in this region right here. But the point is, not only are you back in a trade now and your bot's able to do this all over again, but your base order is lower than your previous base order was. So that just shows you in this example that when you have your settings set to open new position, immediately, it doesn't need price to just go up, 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 and up to work. It literally works very well because it gets you back in the market ASAP so that you can get back to making money quickly. So that's how that works. And you can see again, this base order, this new base order of the second deal is lower than the first example. All right, so here's a couple good questions. And we actually went over this in Discord a little bit. Had a really good conversation. But what are the risks of the strategy? So I'll answer that first. So real simple, like if there's some kind of market-wide crazy event that happens, you think coronavirus, March 2020, a lot of fear in the market, a lot of stuff going on, like something like that could really impact your trading bots, obviously. And, or you have a project that, a certain project that maybe you're running your trading bot on, as something happens to the project and price drops, a ton, and maybe it's really bad news, maybe they went under, who knows. Like those are risks, obviously. But like to counter that, there's a reason why I have 43 bots. And like I'm not recommending everybody have 43 bots, but it would literally take a market-wide epic event to really put me in a bad situation with those bots. Like it would literally take something catastrophic to happen. Could that happen? Yes, it could happen. But like the likelihood of that happening anytime soon for me is pretty low. That's how I feel. Doesn't mean that it can't happen tomorrow or anything. Who knows? Anything can happen. But am I gonna like take myself out of the market because I'm concerned about an event that could happen? No. It's really that simple. Like I've made almost $50,000 by using the trading bots. So, and again, like the amount of capital that I have allocated for these bots, I've already made, almost double what I've allocated to the bots. So like I'm way in profit already. Now, again, like, is that normal? Is that something that is easily replicable? No. Like, but that's just, I'm just talking about my particular experience. So like, would I be terrified and scared of a potential event that could happen? No, because I've already done so well that, I'm willing to continue to do what I'm doing and take, if that day comes, when it comes, whenever that is in the future, then, you know, it is what it is. But that's a risk that, you know, any market, if you're participating in any market, it doesn't matter what you're doing, there's always a risk like that. So how can something so simple be better than more advanced bots? So I wouldn't say better than, okay? But like, there's kind of this thing with DCA, dollar cost averaging. People's like, you know, you think of it as a strategy where you literally just keep feeding it money and money until it goes to zero and then you're screwed. And like, the fact is, like, that's not how it works, okay? Like, that's not really, in my opinion, the right way to look at it, but it is somebody's opinion and they're totally entitled to that opinion. But like, the simple thing is, you have a really easy, the easiest bot that you could probably have, and the settings, I argue the settings are what makes the bot be able to do that. Now, if you had stop losses, if you had smaller safety orders, if you had less safety orders, like, will you outperform the bots with my settings? I highly doubt that, right? So there's so many things that go into making the bots be able to do what they do. And I will say that. But as far as like advanced bots, when you're talking about, you know, people writing their own code, writing their own, like putting together their own algorithms, their own trading bots, like, there's a know-how that you have to, you know, there's so many pieces of that you have to be able to do. And like, this tutorial is solely focused on creating the easiest possible bot so that anybody can do it, right? So that you don't need a ton of trading knowledge to be able to use these bots. That's the whole purpose of this video. And I will argue that my trading bots, the way that they're set up, right? Again, it's the settings. It's not like the methodology behind it, the dollar cost averaging that people seem to look at and like get disgusted over. It's the settings behind it and knowing how they've worked for me in the crypto market. That's what makes them work. Like, that's what, in my eyes, what makes them special, right? That makes it be able to do what it does. Like, is it gonna outperform some of these more advanced algorithms that are doing A, B through Z and have all of these crazy functionality? Like, no, I mean, maybe not, maybe they will. I don't know, I couldn't tell you. But the point is, again, the reason why I made this video is so that I present the easiest method that I could find in order to potentially make money. It's that simple. And that's it. So I've made almost $50,000 doing exactly what I've shared here. I literally, like, there's no incentive for me, by the way, to like share this. Like 3COMMAS, again, I don't get, unless somebody pays in crypto, which most people aren't going to do that. I don't, that's okay. Like, that's the only way I get compensated for that, right? Like, I don't care about any of that stuff. I simply, like, I've had friends ask me, like, what are you doing? Oh, wow, you're doing trading bots? How does that work? Like, this video, these tutorials, they're for you guys. They're for like people who are interested, who, you know, have an open mind and just want to check things out. It's really that simple though. But I was trying to find the easiest, you know, the easiest types of bots, the easiest types of trading that people could follow along with easily. So that's what this is all about. And lastly, so again, this is the same screen as the previous one. I am going to have another bot tutorial coming out soon. It's going to talk about these things. And really, you know, this is kind of like, you know, 3COMMAS does have a pretty interesting set of, you know, there's other bots that you can use. I'm going to teach you how to generate your own custom signals that you integrate with TradingView, which is the charting software that I use. You can obviously short, you can set your bots to take short trades only, incorporate that into your arsenal. There's grid bots, options bots, trailing stops, which some people have asked me about. That's kind of more advanced that I want to talk about. And also there's leverage, like if you have leveraged exchanges, which I do, like if you had something like Bybit, for example, you can actually use 3COMMAS to integrate the same way you did with any other exchange, and you can trade with leverage on 3COMMAS. So that's pretty crazy. I will show that to you in the next video, but that's kind of what's coming up. And then lastly, here's my social media. So, you know, the thing that's not listed on here because the invite's kind of weird, but there will be an invitation in the description below, is my Discord. Again, I'm in there 12 hours a day for the most part. We have a really awesome group of people in there. It's really active. If you have any questions about these bots, feel free to come in there and you can talk to me in the trading bot room, or you can DM me in Discord if you'd like. I'm totally fine with that. But these are some of my other social media. I'm pretty active on Twitter. Telegram is relatively new, but I did start a Telegram chat room in there. So if you're more comfortable with that, I do have that, which is also, that's where you can find me. Do have a Facebook group, a Facebook page for Trade Alts. I am posting in there quite a bit. So if you like Facebook, you can find me on there as well. And then obviously my YouTube channel where you're watching this. Definitely if we're a newer channel, if you wouldn't mind hitting the like button, leaving a comment, tell me what you thought about the video. And also again, subscribing, you click the bell, be notified of any future videos I have. I do have at least one, possibly 2 or 3 even more trading bot tutorials that are coming out. But if you have any questions, again, feel free, hit me up in the Discord. More than happy to chat with you and answer whatever questions I can possibly try to help you with. But with that being said, I hope you found this tutorial useful. I hope you have a great day and trade safe out there.